Hey, how is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with Friday Questions and Answers, episode 47. And I do want to apologize for this video being uploaded real late on, I guess, Saturday morning. But if you're new to my channel and you don't know what this series is about, as always, you just leave a question in the comment section below, and I will answer that question in the next episode. It can be about anything. Just leave it in the comments below, and it will be answered and featured in next week's episode. So, let's get started. I actually got a lot of questions in this episode. A lot more than usual. So I'm gonna try to be as fast as possible. I don't want to drag this out too long. But I got like 33 questions this week. I normally get anywhere from 15 to 20. Maybe that has to do with the new influx of subscribers that I've got in the past week. But let's get this started. Colin Miller says Oklahoma Alabama video. Already made that, so go check that out. I got a lot of views, like 6,000 views, I think. So go check that out. It was right after the game. I was kind of mad, but go check that out. The Sharky 100 says, "Why didn't you do a video on Jay Cutler's contract?" I only really do like breaking sports news videos when it's like a coaching hiring or a player actually signs to a different team or leaves a team or something like that. I don't ever do videos on like renewals of contracts and stuff like that, but I mean, that's an interesting topic. It was kind of a shocker that it was such a long deal. I mean, 7 years, that's kind of crazy, but I think it's probably the best for the Bears. I think it's the best situation they could have. I mean, maybe 7 years is a bit too much, and he maybe got paid a little bit more than what he's really worth, I guess you could say. But in the long run, I think this was the best situation and best action to take for the future of their football team. So I think it was maybe a ridiculous year amount, but it's still a good deal because he's still a solid quarterback. Byron C says, "Can you tell me the top 5 football facilities in college football?" You have to start with Oregon. They have great facilities. Alabama has some really nice facilities as well. USC has very good facilities. I'm not sure on the top 5, but Florida has very good facilities. And another one, to round it out, probably Ohio State. Ohio State has really good facilities as well. Baltimore Fan 52 says, "What is your top 5 preseason poll for next year?" Oh man, I haven't really thought about it too much, but obviously you have to have Florida State number 1. With Mariota coming back, etc., I think I have Oregon at number 2. Number 3, probably Auburn with everything they're returning and as well as they did last season and as close as they came to winning the championship game. You can make a case for them at number 2 as well, but I'll put them at 3. 4, 4, I would have to go with, man, it's tough. Probably Alabama, and then 5 to round it out, something like maybe Michigan State. So that'd be, I haven't put much thought into it. I'll probably come out with a better one later, but that's off the top of my head right there. K-State Football says, "What do you think of Oregon's uniforms?" I think they look like throw up other than all white and all black. Some of them I like. I like the ones around 2009 with the little wings on the side. I like those, but then they started getting all crazy, and some of the new ones I don't like. They're too flashy, and some of them are kind of ridiculous looking. But some of the basic, simple ones that they had just a couple seasons ago, and they still use a little bit, I like. But the ones they wear today, I'm not too big of a fan. It's a little bit overplayed now, and the rest of college football's really catching on to that trend, which is kind of sucks. But some of them are nice, some not so much. Matt Fritz says, "Will C.J. Mosley be a successful NFL linebacker?" I really do think so. He has the speed. He has the coverage skills. He's great in run support. He's really an overall great linebacker. He's probably definitely the leader of that Alabama defense. So I think he has all the skills what it takes to be a successful NFL linebacker. So yeah, definitely. Sir Sports Guy, "Do you think Alabama's the favorite to win the SEC next year? If not, who?" I mean, of course they're going to be thrown around as the favorites. But I'm not sure if I would really call them a favorite. I mean, this year in the SEC is probably as wide open as it has been in a long time. And for a team like Alabama replacing so many players, I mean, most importantly, A.J. McCarron at quarterback, this is a good season because it's not like there's any favorite teams out there. I mean, just about every team lost an important player. I mean, Auburn lost Trey Mason, Greg Robinson, Texas A&M obviously, Mike Evans, Johnny Manziel, LSU, half their receivers, a lot of their defense, Zach Mettenberger most importantly, Georgia, Aaron Murray, Arthur Lynch, some off the defense, and just more and more. So if there's a favorite with what is returning, I would probably Auburn. I think they bring back enough, but I would have to say either Auburn or maybe even Missouri, one of the two. But as a front runner right now, I'd probably say Auburn. And I think South Carolina has a good shot as well. K-State football also asks, do you think Todd Boyd should have been a Heisman contender? I don't think so. If you've watched some of my videos before, specifically my Clemson Ohio State preview, you would have saw that I really am not a fan of Todd Boyd that much, so I'm probably a little bit biased against that, but I don't think he should have been a Heisman contender. Baltimore fan 52 asks, what does RBT stand for? And this is a good question. I've got this plenty of times on this series, but kind of not really complicated, but kind of hard to explain, I guess. I used to be, well, I still am a member of Rivals.com, which is a big football website, has affiliate websites for each team. It's really a football recruiting website, but has more than that, just news on the teams, insiders, stuff like that. And my username on there, don't ask why I made this when I was like 13. Just off the top of my head was Red Bama Time. I don't know where the Tom came from. Red was for the Red Sox. Bama, obviously for Alabama. Time, don't ask me. I guess I could say Titans, but it was really Red Bama Time. And people would just call, when I was on the message board, people would just call me RBT. So it stuck. The brand of RBT just stuck with me. And I made this YouTube channel a long time ago. I had this channel up. I think I created it the day actually that Alabama won the national championship in 2009 against Texas. And I put up a video of the line in Academy after the championship game when we went to go get championship memorabilia. And the channel name was Bamelo RBT, and I didn't use the channel for years. And then a bunch of my other channels got really messed up with Google AdSense, and this was the only channel I had forgotten about it that had nothing wrong with it. And if you at that point when you made a YouTube channel, that's when they were just starting the Google Plus integration. And it was aggravating, and you couldn't really have a channel without Google Plus. So I didn't want to make a new channel. So this was the perfect channel to use with the name and everything. So since it was Bamelo RBT, it just stuck RBT. I just call myself RBT on here. It just stuck, and that's why RBT stands for Red Bama Time. Why? I don't know. That's what it stands for. Okay, DJ Hayes says, how do you think Hudson Mason will do with the offense, having Justin Scott Wesley and Malcolm Mitchell back? Georgia's defense isn't injured. Our offense is. I think Hudson Mason will be fine. I mean, he played well in the games that he did play in. Definitely, he'll have the edge of experience, so that'll be good. I mean, those two players in offense. I mean, Malcolm Mitchell is obviously a good wide receiver, so is Wesley. But I think with having those receivers, it does help. I mean, a young quarterback, but I think it helps more that he got the experience that he did. So I think he definitely has an edge up on the other quarterbacks to be replacing, such as a Texas A&M or an Alabama, or Connor Shaw, Dylan Thompson has experience there. LSU Anthony Jennings got a couple of games under the belt, but the quarterbacks, including Hudson Mason, who got experience beforehand due to injuries, I think that really helps him moving forward and gain an edge on the other quarterback. So I think that's more of a factor there than the returning receivers, but that will help out definitely. And DJ Hayes, who wins next year's Clemson or Georgia game? In case you choose Clemson, we have everybody back on offense and a better, stronger defense. I mean, obviously it's going to be tough, but I think Georgia wins this one. I think they get revenge for last season. I mean, my prediction can change completely. I mean, we don't know what happens from here. to September. But I mean, looking at it initially, yes, Georgia brings back a lot. The defense should be better, and yes, Georgia lost Aaron Murray, one of the best quarterbacks in SEC history. They bring back more than Clemson does. Really, Clemson doesn't always have the best defense. Lose Todd Boyd, Sammy Watkins, the two players have been the face of their offense the past couple seasons. So that's a big loss there as well. So I think Georgia just brings back more, and playing at home that could be big as well. So I think as of right now, it'll go Georgia. I'm not sure if I'll change that anytime soon. So yeah, I think Georgia will win. Brian Hagura says the UCF versus Baylor one. I don't know what that means, but if you want to see my recap on that game, it's on my channel, so go check that out. Bastuba98, do you think Michigan State will be as good as they were this year, next year, and make it to the Rose Bowl again? Honestly, I don't think so, because they lose a ton on defense. But you can counteract that argument with the fact that they lost Max Bullock, but they replaced him with a younger guy with no experience, a former walk-on. He steps in his place, plays great, and even makes a game-saving tackle in the game. So they have people coming back, but they do lose a lot. I mean, Darqueze Dennard, etc., Max Bullock as well. So they do lose a lot, and I think there will be a drop-off. The reason I was so high on Michigan State coming into the season was they brought back so many good players on defense, an experienced quarterback in Connor Cook. The running back situation was kind of iffy. The wide receivers stepped up, but they have Connor Cook coming back. The running back situation can be all right. The wide receiver position will be all right. But they lose a lot on defense. But I'll really have to look when I do my Big Ten preview video for the next season. When that comes, I'll definitely be looking at the other teams. So I'll really have to see how they compare to what the other teams lose. But as of right now, without looking at everybody else, I think they lose a little bit too much to be able to compete for another Rose Bowl title. But I think they'll be okay. They'll be maybe a 10-win season. I'm not sure if that's enough to bring them to Pasadena once again. And you got to remember, if they're good enough, if they are potentially good enough to make the Rose Bowl, they could be potentially good enough to make a playoff game. So that's kind of gotta, go into your argument and thought process from here on out, which will be kind of hard to gauge. But yes, there will be a playoff now. DJ Hayes says, in your area, are there more Auburn or Alabama fans? How rare is it to see an Auburn/Alabama fan in your area? It's really probably all about who's winning at the time. Obviously when Auburn comes out and wins that championship, you see all Auburn fans everywhere, and you don't hardly see many Alabama fans, but vice versa. But I would have to say there are probably more Alabama fans than Auburn fans, but they do show them their faces more when they're winning national championships or competing for them, at least. But I'd probably Alabama fans, but it's not by much, I wouldn't say. How rare is it to see an Alabama Auburn fan? Everybody's either one. Everywhere you go, take a trip, you're gonna see about 1,000 Alabama/Auburn stickers on trucks, on cars, everywhere. Alabama hats, Auburn hats, Alabama shirts. Everywhere you go, they're everywhere. You can't go in the store without seeing them. People are crazy down here about their football. Brian Hagura said, I think this was his question earlier, but it got split into two comments. That's something that's stupid about this new comment section, is the fact that it don't make any sense, because what it used to be was that the YouTube comments would show the most recent comment first, and that's how it should be. But now comments get split up. The comment 3 hours ago will be the bottom comment, and the top comment will be from 2 weeks ago. It don't make any sense. So that kind of screws up the comment section. But I think his got split up here. That's what was wrong. He said, do you think UCF will become a well-known name in the next couple of years? I think potentially. When you win a BCS Bowl, that obviously helps your case. Maybe this will spring them forward into maybe a potential invite into an AQ conference. Well, there won't be any more AQ conferences, but into a higher level conference that will bring up their competitiveness in their opponents, which will give them a better shot at making a potential playoff. So I think that win definitely was huge for them in the long run. I think they're going to be a competitive program. Yeah, it's big when you lose Blake Bortles to the draft, but I mean, they're in a great area, a great recruiting area. Orlando has a really good coach in Georgia O'Leary. Great institution there, and they're building. I've read a bunch of articles on them lately. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before on here. I was really close to going to Central Florida out of high school. That would have been, I really liked it. Student population, great campus, great area to be. Orlando's a great city, obviously, and they're forever growing. So, I mean, a big win in football and success of your football program really just adds more and more to the university, which in hindsight will uh, bring more success, I guess, more long-term success and consistent success to the program. So I think to become a well-known name, it was definitely a good step to win the BCS Bowl. But let's see what they do in year 2. But I think definitely a lot more people know who UCF is right now than they did a year ago. So, I mean, you got to think, if UCF beats South Carolina, hangs on to that game, they could have they could be national champions right now. That's as crazy as it sounds, and as unlikely as it would have been for them to beat Florida State. It was still a possibility if they beat South Carolina. So, and Jackson Bear, why didn't you make a video on the Jay Cutler deal? I already answered that earlier. I think I wasn't even home when that happened. So usually when some big news happens and I make a video, I'm home because I don't see a point making the video because after 8-9 hours after it is announced, because it's not fresh in everybody else's mind and doesn't really get more views. So when that happens, I usually make videos and stuff when I'm home. But if it's big enough, I'll still make a video. But I didn't really feel the need to make it for this one. Stuba 98. Who do you think the Lions head coach will be? Man, I have no clue at all. I really have no clue. They have been, there's the big names in the coaching searches have been both coordinators of the Broncos, both coordinators of the Seahawks. So rather it be the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator of either of those teams end up being the head coach of the Lions, I would not be surprised. So best bet right now would be one of those 4 names right there. And so let's move on. Buffalo Bills fan 97. You think the Red Sox will win the AL East? I definitely think they have a good shot. I mean, they bring back a big core of their players. A lot of young guys stepping in this season. I think Xander Bogaerts will have a bit bigger role than a season ago. I think Will Middlebrooks will finally be able to regain his name and show what he can do for 162 games, because it looks like Xander Bogaerts will be the shortstop, Will Middlebrooks will be at third. So they'll have a full-time role, and it looks like Jackie Bradley's going to be at center. So potentially, well, Will Middlebrooks obviously isn't considered a rookie anymore, but 2 rookies on the same team, because they're still considered a rookie stats-wise, but 3 young guys who have less than 2 years combined, full 2 years experience. So it's going to be interesting, and a lot rides on how they do. If the pitching staff can come together and play well as they did a year ago, and if they can maybe even play better, that would be great. I do expect a little drop off in guys like David Ortiz, maybe a little more in Mike Napoli, maybe even Shane Victorino, Johnny Gomes. So there's a lot of question marks, and I wouldn't bet on it right now. But with that chemistry, with that team, with that John Farrell at manager, and the pitching staff, and the bullpen's got a little bolster to it with the, like I said, the bullpen, and they're still a solid team. Even with the young guys, these young guys have a ton of talent and potential between the 3 actually. It's going to be interesting to see how Brzezinski does it at catcher. That surprised me there, definitely. And it's really probably going to be a split of David Ross and Andrew Brzezinski, probably up to the pitcher in his preference. But I mean, with Koji Irihara a full year, I mean, you got to think he didn't step into the closer role until second half or around second half of the season. So that's big as well. But you got to think we have we had a really bad time in the first half of the season when it came to second half or late inning bullpen performance. A lot of blown saves by Andrew Bailey, and who else was it? Andrew Bailey and Joel was it Joel Hanrahan? I think so. But combination of those two, a lot of blown saves, and Koji Irihara came in lights out. So if he can stay healthy if everybody can stay healthy and we get a decent amount of contributions from these young guys, and Shane Victorino and AJ and David and Mike Napoli and Johnny Gomes, if they don't drop off too much, and the pitching staff stays solid, I think we'll be fine. I mean, that's a lot of iffy factors, and that's why I'm kind of skeptical on saying it right now if I think they're going to win the AL East, but they definitely have the potential to. So, next question. Heavy D317. Who should the Lions take in the draft? They definitely need secondary help and a number 2 receiver. They have picked 10. I've seen a lot of mock drafts have them picking Sammy Watkins early on, and that would be a good pick. I mean, you got to give you a guy in the slot alongside Calvin Johnson, take off the pressure of Calvin, or also an interesting pick would be Mike Evans, another great receiver, a big body. So 2 big bodies in Calvin and Mike Evans in the same receiving core, potentially on the same side of the field. That could be scary. So they could go a lot of different ways. I agree with you. They need secondary help, but the thought of finally giving Calvin a number 2 receiver, whether it be a slot guy in Sammy Watkins or a Mike Evans, another big body type guy who's potentially another Calvin Johnson on the same team, that's just too good of an idea to pass right there. So I think they'll go with the wide receiver because that could be very, very sick. Matthew Stafford and Sammy Watkins and Calvin Johnson, or vice versa, Calvin Johnson, Mike Evans. So I think they go with the wide receiver. And you never know, if a guy like Kelvin Benjamin comes out, has a really good combine, he could be drafted high. I mean, he has the size, has the hands, even though he didn't perform too well early on in the national championship game. He's still a talented player. And then maybe if they decide to go a secondary route, they could and they wanted a receiver, they could wait in the early second round and snatch a guy like Jordan Matthews, who I think could be very successful in the NFL. Not sure if he'd be available in the second round, but who knows. So I say Mike Evans or Sammy Watkins. Probably more likely Sammy Watkins, unless he's snagged before then. But to have 2 wide receivers has a potential number 2 to Calvin Johnson, that's not a bad idea at all. CH Extreme 96. What do you think of the Texas hiring of Charlie Strong? You can go watch my full reaction and thought video on the Charlie Strong hiring. It was uploaded last week, I believe. But to summarize, I think it's a good hire. Kind of skeptical. I know it's going to be a solid defense under Charlie Strong. I mean, he's recruited well at Louisville, but my only skepticism, I guess, of the hire is the fact that you never got to see what he did without Teddy Bridgewater, who's a heck of a player. So I'm interested to see if he can recruit another quarterback at Texas, or find a guy within the program. Maybe Tyrone Swoops didn't play too well in the bowl game. I know they have a guy committed right now that's supposed to be very good. But they can find a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater. That's going to be a huge deal. Or see if he can be successful without a number 1 quarterback, without a great quarterback. We just have to see that. But I think it's definitely not a bad hire at all. A solid defense. With the talent that he has at Louisville, if he had a good defense under them, just picture the talent he can get at Texas. He's already recruiting well, so they'll be just fine under Charlie Strong. Tyler Mitchell. What do you think this upcoming year will be like with Anthony Jennings at quarterback for LSU with the underclassmen losses and recruiting? I think it's going to be interesting because, like I mentioned earlier, if this is a rebuilding year for a team in the SEC, if you're trying out new things, have some question marks across the field, this is the year to do it with all the changes across the SEC, with all the losses, without all the new guys coming in. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, and it's not great for him as well. You lose 2 big receivers in Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. Pretty sure they both declare for the draft. But yeah, they recruit well at LSU every single year. And something that's big for Anthony Jennings is Leonard Fournette. Guy is the best running back I've seen coming out of high school, probably since Adrian Peterson. I wanted him in Alabama so bad. He's going to be a nice guy to have to hand it off to for the next 3 years. So that helps Anthony Jennings. He looked solid to me in the Arkansas game when he came in for Zach Mettenberger. It didn't look so well in the bowl game, obviously, against Iowa. But, I mean, obviously, that's great to have in your back pocket with that experience. I mean, for the future of LSU, it's probably better for him to get those 2 games experience than it was not. So, he has the edge, like I mentioned earlier with the Hudson Mason thing. He has the edge on the other quarterbacks coming in and who are fighting for starting jobs next season. So, that's good for him. I think LSU will be fine. They're always going to be okay under Les Miles, no matter what the situation is. But like I said, this is going to be a good situation to be in, to not be so sure about your team. So if that makes any sense. But I think they'll be okay. Definitely at least a 9-win, maybe a 10-win team, maybe even an SEC championship team. We'll have to see how the rest of the SEC does with all the replacements. Because even an Auburn team, who we all thought was going to be great coming back, still think they're going to be solid. But you got to think Trey Mason's gone and Greg Robinson's gone. A top 10 pick in the NFL draft is probably Greg Robinson, as one of the best left tackles coming out. Might be the best tackle coming out behind Jake Matthews. So, yes. So, I think they'll be okay. Alright, next. How many questions do we have left? Gosh dang. Ton. It's already 3:11. God. Sports All Day 09. I love these questions. What's better, hot dogs or hamburgers? It depends what hot dog. If you want to give me one of those pink hot dogs that you get in those little packs, not the great hot dogs, the expensive ones, just the cheap pink ones, I could eat those all day with just a little bit of ketchup. They're amazing. I would have those I'd rather have those way more than the expensive, whatever you call those expensive hot dogs. Now, if you put an expensive hot dog in front of my face and a hamburger, I'll choose a hamburger. But one of the pink cheap hot dogs and a hamburger, the cheap pink hot dogs. Every day. I haven't had one of those in forever. They're awesome. Isaac at COD. Who should the Vikings pick as their head coach? Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not really up to date on all the head coaching searchings in the NFL because I'm not too familiar with the personnel in the NFL outside of the head coaching realm, so I'm not real familiar with the coordinators. But like I said, the offensive and defensive coordinators for the Seahawks and the Broncos are hot commodities right now. So don't be surprised if one of them get to calling in Minnesota as well. So one of them. And they're both solid. I mean, obviously, they're some of the 2 best organizations in the NFL. So I don't think you could miss out on hiring one of those 4 guys. So that would not surprise me. DJ Hayes says, Dog fans all around me say that this is our year. But I just think that although we have the most offense coming back and defense being better than last year, there are 3 things that need to happen. Hudson Mason needs to play great. We can't settle for just good. Beat a vengeful Tennessee and South Carolina team. Get from unranked to 4 by the end of the season. I don't see 3 happening, so please tell me how we can make the climb. Because one thing I do know for sure is that it starts and ends with Todd Gurley. Yes, I think definitely Georgia has an edge on other teams, like I mentioned before, because he has the couple games experience. He won a rivalry game against Georgia Tech, a comeback victory. He's played okay in a couple games. Didn't play so well in the bowl game, but they have a guy like Anthony Jennings. Similarly, they have one of the best running backs, if not the best running back, coming back in Todd Gurley. So that's a pretty solid guy to hand the ball off to. Yes, you'd probably want to pick Todd Gurley right now over Leonard Fournette because he's so young. You don't know what he's going to do in college, but they do have a good defense coming back, a lot on offense coming back, a good receiving core, probably more than LSU. So if you'd want to say Georgia is the favorite in the SEC, I would not argue with that. But I don't think they'll be unranked. I think Georgia will be somewhere from maybe the 10 to 20 range, anywhere in between. Maybe somebody will like to vote them ahead in the top 10. That wouldn't surprise me either. But I don't think they'll be unranked. But I think they should be able to beat a Tennessee team this year. South Carolina will be tough, but I think they should handle South Carolina. So it'll be an interesting season for Georgia. But I think Hudson Mason will play all right. But I don't think he needs to play great because of all the, like I said, all the newcomers in the SEC at the important positions, like the quarterback position. So I think he just needs to play solid, not turn the football over, make some plays here and there, and be a leader. And I think he can do that. He's shown he can. He definitely has the talent to, and he needs to be good. I disagree with your first statement. I think he needs to be good, not great. If he plays great, good for Georgia, but I don't think he has to be great for Georgia to compete this season. Alright, next question. JD Sports, how do you get the ESPN scoreboard at the bottom of your NCAA videos? Also, what capture card and editing software do you use? I myself use Premiere Pro, but what capture card do you recommend? I don't know what the difference is, because it's the bottom line in NCAA has always been there, the little scoreboard. But I've seen some people comment on my videos before asking this, and I've discussed it with my friends before, because some of them have asked before in recent years. I think you have to have HDMI on your cord plugged in. I think standard definition TVs don't have it, and you have to have HDMI. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not sure if there's a setting that could be turned on if it's not on, but from what I've heard, I think it's you have to have HD. If you do have HD and it's not there, I don't know what to tell you. And to answer your second question, I use an Elgato game capture. I've had an HD PVR, an HD PVR 2, and finally got an Elgato, and it's by far the best. Simple, awesome, great capture card. So I would definitely recommend that. And software, I use, well, with what software comes with that to record the videos, but editing software for the past 5-6 years, I've used Sony Vegas Pro 10, I believe. I've switched from 9 to 10. How I got that, I'm not going to tell you. But I use Sony Vegas. It's a really good editing software. Not overly complicated, but it's solid. It's really solid. Alright. Razorback 1995 says, congrats on hitting 3,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. And I just thought about this. I definitely forgot to do that setup video that I think it was you that said that in last week's episode. So hopefully this next week I can get around to doing that. Have 2 videos to get around to doing. I had to do this Grateful company sent me their product to review, and they sent it to me like a month ago. I still haven't gotten to making that video, so I definitely need to do that in the next week or so. And I need to make that setup video if I can remember to. And I need to start on my NFL draft, mock draft video. I need to start on my top 10 countdowns in the NFL draft positions. Because those were really successful last year, and I'm going to go ahead and do them again this year. So those take a lot of time to make, but hopefully I can get the review out soon. It's you'll see in the video, but it's a nice product. And then I'll get to do that setup video. That shouldn't be too complicated to make, but I'll figure out. I'll probably do it with my iPhone. But I'm starting school Monday, starting back for the semester. I only go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But it will be harder to make videos in that time because I go all day Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 50-minute drives. I'm broadcasting 20 games on the radio this semester, so that's going to be tough. 50-minute drives, man, it sucks. But hope I'll still have time, so I'll have to find a way. But I will come out with those videos soon. And also, this just popped in my mind as well. I have not obviously been doing the NCAA dynasties and Madden 25 franchises in the past, I'd probably say a good month or so. Those just take a lot of time, and they're really hard to sit down and be motivated to do. I mean, if I could pay somebody $5 to sit there, not to commentate the video, but just edit the clips together of the plays, those take so long, you don't understand. I love making the videos. Like, when they're done, I'm so happy with it. I love doing those type of things, but it's so time consuming and not motivating at all. They're sitting there just cutting play by play, figuring out what play to put there. Watch through a 50-minute gameplay, just sitting there trying to figure out what plays to use in the video. If I could just have somebody to edit those together and then I could commentate over it, I'd be just fine. I'd love to do it, but it takes way too much time. And that's not saying I'm not going to do them anymore. It's just my focus right now for my channel is coming out with the breaking news right now. There's a lot in regards to head coaching, firings, signings, NFL drafts coming around, NFL playoffs. I was focused on the bowl games this last week, so there's really no free time in doing those videos. So I guess whenever the NFL playoffs are over and kind of settling into the draft, I'll have more time, and I should be able to bring those videos out then. Not saying I won't bring out any videos until then. It'll probably be more likely, though, around that time. So that was not answering your question because you didn't have a question, but I felt like I needed to say that. JD Sports says, I forgot to ask last week, where can I send my highlight film since I don't really want to upload it to YouTube? You can go to my channel and go to where it says About, look at my bio, and there's my business email. You can just send it to there. But you should. Why shouldn't you? You should upload it to YouTube because, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're young. I think a freshman in high school. And to get your highlights and videos out there right now, that's amazing to get it out as a freshman, contacting colleges, showing them what you have as, I guess, you're 15 or 16 years old, a 15, 16-year-old kid. That would be great. So YouTube is a start. So I would not object to uploading it to YouTube right now. You should definitely do that because that would be a great start for you. Jack Moore. Gosh, hold on. Before Jack, after the last question was the Starkey Sharky 100. Why didn't you do a video on Jay Cutler's contract? Goodness, you guys really wanted me to do a video on Jay Cutler's contract. Gosh, that's 3 questions. Man. Okay, Jack Moore's question. This will be the last question of the video. Alright, I'm gonna do my annual video prediction on how long it's gone. I'm gonna say 32 minutes. 36, gosh. Close. It's 3 o'clock in the gosh dang morning. Sitting here talking to myself. Jack Moore. Johnny Manziel announced that he would be entering the 2014 NFL Draft. What do you think? Who do you think will draft him, and do you think that he will be an elite quarterback in the NFL? I think it's gonna end up being the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll end up picking Johnny Manziel. I just don't see any way around it unless they go with Blake Bortles, which wouldn't. It would be kind of surprising if they pick Bortles over Johnny Manziel. But I don't see there's any way he gets out of the top 7. But if I had to pick right now, I'd say probably the Cleveland Browns. Don't pass up on him. He's just too much of a talent. And will he be an elite quarterback in the NFL? It's so hard to gauge. I mean, he's such a talent. He has such a unique ability. It's just, I think, a matter of staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, it's so early to compare him to a Michael Vick type skill set in the NFL. But if that's how he's going to approach it, or if there's a way he needs to approach the NFL, I think it's kind of in the Mike Vick kind of approach. And there's nothing wrong with that. Mike Vick was such a great quarterback. I think he's still a solid quarterback, even though he's not starting now. Such a solid quarterback in his prime. And if Johnny Manziel can be that good in NFL, if not better, which he potentially could be, I would definitely think he could possibly be considered an elite quarterback in the NFL. So if I'm a team like the Browns, I've been struggling so much the last couple seasons to find explosiveness out of the quarterback position, somebody to help you win football games. There would be no way I'd pass up on Johnny Manziel. If I'm a fan, I would be so angry if they did, because we don't know how good he's going to be. But to show that you're willing to do whatever it takes to provide a spark in your organization, especially at the most important position on the field, and you have such an explosive player that has so much potential. We don't know which way it's going to go, but he has so much. And if I would not pass on him. Just simple as that. If I'm the Browns, I mean, he could turn out being such a big bust. You never know. But I think he's going to be solid. Or at least I don't think there's any way you pass up on him. But I guess that's it for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, please leave a question in the comment section below for next week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/S3RTR. Make sure to hit that like button. And as always, roll Tigers, Sox, and good Titans to you. Catch you guys later. Have a great week. Catch you next Friday. Peace.